How are you,
up,
John?
baby? Oh, I'm great, man. I'm glad to be here.
You look great.
Thank you. Yeah,
You
I
letting
feel
the
good.
hair grow a bit? What's
No,
happening?
I'm actually gonna shave it off again for the fight.
Okay.
Yeah, I fought DC bald last time, got a knockout. So
Yep.
I'm like, you know what? Why not try something different? Go bald again. So
This is a real pleasure for me, a real honor to have you here. I can't believe I'm talking
thanks.
to you.
Oh,
No one
stop.
believes
Man,
when I
you
put
talk
it
to
out
everybody.
there. When I put it out there, everyone's like, "John's not coming in
It's like
studio."
bullshit.
It's so hard to get you, but
I'm
you're
here,
actually
man.
here.
Yeah, we're doing it, man.
You're doing a whole media tour today.
Yeah, all day.
And can I ask you? I was on the air.
Mhm.
What's going on earlier today? Was some drama with our
With what?
counterparts? First Take. I saw you tweet about them. What happened there?
Oh no, I was just a little aggressive. No, they were great.
They were cool
great.
to you?
Yeah, they asked a lot of tough questions. They didn't pull any punches, and
I'll go lay the
so-
smackdown.
Will you?
Of course,
I
man.
like that.
I got your back.
I like
What happened?
that.
Who was pissing you off more, Kellerman or Stephen A?
Kellerman.
Really?
Yeah, but he didn't really piss me off. He was asking spicy questions and stuff
Okay.
like that. But, just stuff I wasn't really wanting to get into, but things that I'm aware that sometimes is necessary to get into. So it's just what it is.
It's all good,
fine.
though.
Yeah, it's fine. I probably
No.
shouldn't have tweeted that.
All right. Well,
I
you
made
know,
it a bigger deal than what it
you've
was.
been known. Although you don't do the whole delete thing anymore.
I try not to as much.
Okay.
I've learned not to care as much.
Oh.
Just let it be.
Is that
let
part
it
of the
happen.
maturation of Jon Jones?
I guess so.
Yeah.
Let's say so.
Yeah, you don't care as much. You put out things that you wouldn't have put out like 5-6 years ago.
Yeah.
You speak in a way you want to put out. This is who you are. Take it or leave it.
I sure hope so. Yeah, I sure hope so.
You feel comfortable with who you are?
I do feel comfortable with my skin. Yeah, I do.
You feel comfortable with how the people perceive you?
I'm not comfortable with the way people perceive me, but
Why not?
a part of me surrendered to it and just realized that it comes with the territory of being one of the all-time elites in my sport. People say things like, and I'm not saying that I'm in the same category as Jesus because I'm not even close, but I'm
Right.
saying even Jesus was crucified and criticized and ridiculed. So it's like, you look at guys like LeBron James who just build a school for young people, and he's still hated by many people. It's like you look at, I realize if you are good in your sport and if you are, if you're an elite dog in your sport, people are going to find things to pick at you for. Look at Daniel Cormier. Daniel Cormier is a stand-up guy, right? He does a lot of things right, and people tell me all the time how much they hate him. I just don't get it. Right, so there's something that comes with when you have a certain amount of greatness where you'll never quite be loved by everybody, and you have to be comfortable in that space.
It takes a while to accept that, right?
It does. It takes a while to accept that. But you got to learn to be grateful for it too, because you're relevant.
Right.
And if you're not relevant, man, if people don't give a shit about you, which way you go, and what you're a part of, then that's when you're really doing bad. So, when I come out with things, people want to talk about it, and some, half the audience are positive and half are negative. I'm just grateful to have 100% of the audience.
Right. They're not indifferent.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, when they're indifferent, they don't give a crap. Then
It's a problem.
Then it's a real problem. Yeah, that's when your pay-per-view numbers are terrible, and your T-shirts aren't selling, and so.
Do you feel like the game has missed you?
I feel like the game has missed me, but I also feel like they've had some athletes to really keep them occupied. Conor McGregor being the main guy.
Right.
Conor McGregor's done a great job of carrying the sport almost by himself for a while. Yeah.
Have you missed the game?
I've missed the game tremendously. I appreciate the game more now that I haven't had it. Yeah, for sure. Missed it a lot.
Was there ever a point you thought you wouldn't get the game back? That you wouldn't be?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, absolutely. Facing that 4-year suspension, man, that was devastating. I had to really reevaluate a lot of things, like what I think about the sport and what I think about, fighting overseas, or who am I outside of the sport and all that. It was a major learning experience for me to go through what I just got out of.
Would you have waited? Like, if you would have gone 4 years, would you actually have waited, or would you have just moved on to something else?
I would have moved on.
Really?
I probably, not to something else, I probably would have talked to the UFC about getting out of my contract and trying to fight overseas.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
That would have been weird, right?
Not really, no. I feel like a lot of organizations would be happy to have me, and
Sure.
I feel like they pay me pretty well.
Okay.
Definitely not the money that I make in the UFC, but I felt like, wherever I were to move, I'd be one of the top priorities in that company and be treated well.
But you wouldn't have moved on from the sport.
No, not move on from the sport. No, dude. There's not many things you can do when you can make $1 million in one night.
Right.
Over $1 million in a night, and I'm very aware of that. So I wouldn't have moved on from fighting. No, this is a very special job to have.
It reminds me of what we saw on Saturday, and I know you said that you won't respond to Chuck anymore.
Oh, yeah.
But is there a lesson there? You know, I just asked your old friend Alistair Overeem. He was just
nice.
on.
Yeah, that's not my old friend. He's still my friend.
Well, I mean, like you've been around for. He's been around you for a while.
I get what you're saying, teasing.
He had a big win on Saturday. I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah, yes.
But just about like as a fighter.
Good for you too, Alistair.
Yes.
Very happy for you.
As a fighter, though, when you watch that, putting aside like the whatever beef that you guys had, I never really viewed it as a beef. I don't know about you.
Nah,
I know
it's Chuck staying relevant.
Right. But is that weird? Like is that a reminder that you stay around too long? It doesn't matter how good you were in your prime. It often ends like that, right? The best. Muhammad Ali, it ended that way, right?
I mean, the ideal scenario is to go out more like Floyd Mayweather,
right?
Extremely successful and undefeated. Doesn't happen often. That's what makes it such a special thing, and that's something that I still have the opportunity to do. I consider myself undefeated, so that's the idea: is to go out, not needing the sport. But doing it because you want to be there, and not because you have to be there. I'm not saying that's Chuck's situation, but that's what I would assume.
Right.
It's tough to watch, man. It's tough to watch. You know, I'm sure it was bittersweet for his fans. I'm sure it's great to see him walk out again.
Right.
You know, the blue shorts and the mullet or whatever, the mohawk.
Mohawk, yeah.
And I'm sure they love to see him, but who wants to see him in that form? You know, so the key is to protect yourself at all time, fight smart. You know, obviously the standing and banging thing is entertaining, but you know, I'm in the business of win where you can. You know, and if that's take down the guy and ride him out or whatever you got to do, you know, you win while you can, and go out with some respect. You know.
In your mind, do you have an end point? Do you have an age where you say like I don't want to keep going after this?
I feel unsatisfied. You know, like I feel like I've accomplished so much in the sport, but I feel like some of my troubles have made me just unsatisfied.
Right.
Unfortunately, people don't separate the two very well. So a lot of people do, but some people don't. I've had an extraordinarily beautiful career inside of the octagon. Outside of the octagon, it's been very rocky as of late. And because of the as of late part, I feel like I have more to prove.
Okay.
So I'm going to continue to go in there until I can get just a few solid, good years out of the way of no controversy and just kicking ass and only that. That's my goal.
So in a way, has this almost extended your career?
It has. It's safe to say it has. Yeah. My originally I was talking about being retired by age 30.
Wow.
And now I'm 31 and I feel like I have a lot to prove still.
Does it ever, like, I don't know if you're the type to sit back and think about the past, but does it bum you out? Like, I could be so, like, that Demetrius Johnson streak, I would have smashed that,
yeah,
right?
It could have been mine.
Yeah.
It could have been mine.
Do you think about those things a lot?
I do, but I try also not to count eggs that hasn't hatched. You know what I mean? It's like Dana White says, who knows how many titles John would have had if he hadn't been suspended, you know,
Right.
or how many more millions he would make. But who knows what else could have happened? Who knows if I would have gotten in a fight that would have seriously hurt me or injured me or lost, or you just never know what would have happened. So I just try not to count eggs that hasn't hatched.
People always talk
about
to
what
me,
if.
right? Of course, especially since I came to this company, they love you here at ESPN.
Oh, nice.
Because of the way you fight, because of the style, the way you came into the sport, the youngest champion, and everything like that. And I always hear from people, you know what 30 for 30 is, right?
Yeah.
The documentary series.
Yeah.
Jon Jones.
Do a 30 for 30.
That's going to be a 30 for. You can't
cool.
do it now because your career is still going on. But because of everything that you've been through, are you worried that, as you just said, like some of those things that have happened recently, that's going to be the first thing people talk about? He was so great, but, and maybe if you go through a streak of 10 years with nothing, you can push that to the back burner, and it's not at the first sentence.
10 years is a long time. I'm a wild boy, Ariel.
31, you could go to 41, no?
Yeah, no, well, without anything crazy happening. Well, my crazy self.
You can't guarantee it.
I'd like to, but nothing's guaranteed in life. What's your question exactly? I'm sorry.
Well, I'm just curious if you're worried that this will be the first line of your story.
Right. No, I'm not worried about it. I'm aware that it probably will for a long time.
You're at peace with that?
I'm at peace with that, yeah, because at the end of the day, when I signed up to get into the UFC, it was to be able to afford diapers and to make sure my family's good and to make sure that, my branch in my family tree is different than the roots that I'm from.
Mm.
And that's what I've been able to accomplish. And that's what I truly signed up for, man. And then along the way, I started wanting to be this guy for everybody else. And I've kind of gotten back to not really worrying about being something for everybody else and focusing on my own salvation, my own health, my own mental and spiritual well-being, and the well-being of my daughters and my fiance. That's what I've learned, that it's truly most important. And so I tend not to really worry about things that are out of my control. Just focus on winning fights, taking care of my management, taking care of my team, the things that I can control, and then all the rest is just, someone gonna love you, someone gonna hate you. You just gotta go with it.
I recall being in Newark the night you beat Shogun, and I recall you holding court at that press conference and telling us about the story earlier in that morning, how you took down the mugger and all that.
Yeah.
And I recall talking to Dana White. They even used the clip in the promo for last year's Cormier fight, where he's like, now comes the serious part for Jon Jones, where all the leeches are going to come, and is he going to make the right decisions? If you could talk to that guy back in March of 2011 about what's to come, about certain decisions not to make, would you like to do so? And if so, what would you say to him?
Yeah, I don't really know if I'd like to talk to that guy. I feel like things that happen in life are all necessary. A lot of things are necessary. Obviously, I made mistakes, but mistakes teach you what you don't want to be, what you don't want to do, what you don't want to be a part of. I'm really proud of myself. I feel like I made a lot of good decisions, and made a lot of good changes in my life. I don't know what I would say to younger Jon Jones. Honestly, I have a lot of things that's happened in my life that I regret, but they've shaped me into the guy that I am today, and I'm really proud of the person that I am today, man. My kids really look up to me a lot. They really admire me. I've provided for them. I've been a really great father, and my family's happy, and my actual close friends, like knowing someone's name and knowing people are completely different. My very close friends, I'm a great friend to them all, and I'm proud. I'm proud of myself.
Could I ask what's your biggest regret?
My biggest regret out of everything,
is there one?
If we were to talk about public things that general public would know about, it was hitting the pregnant woman in that hit and run car accident about 4 years ago now. That was, even though it was 4 years ago, man. It is something. Everyone has a mother. Everyone has a wife or a sister, and that was one of the worst situations I've ever been a part of, man. I had no clue that was a pregnant woman. Yeah. I had no clue it was a woman. I just knew that I felt like it was a fender bender type of thing. And obviously it wasn't a fender bender, but I wasn't hurt. I felt fine. And I assumed that the person that I hit wasn't hurt as well. And, hairline fracture in the woman's arm, and she was a pregnant woman. It was a terrible, terrible situation. Being a father of daughters and being a fiance, and being a person who loves his mother dearly, harming a woman is terrible. And that's something that's probably one of the few things that I would totally take back.
It's
if
fun.
I could.
It's interesting that you mentioned that one, because some stuff happened before, but I feel like that was the beginning of a string of things, right? Because
that was kind of my first situation. That
the
was
belt
just
was taken away
bad.
after and all that. Mm-hmm. It's amazing. You think about that a lot still?
No, I don't think about it at all. Not these days. It was like 4 years ago.
Yeah.
It was hairline fracture 4 years ago. Girl made almost $1 million off the situation. I'm sure her life's been changed forever, and I'm not making it okay. But I mean, to be real, the good life goes on. The girl's life's gone on. The baby's healthy and happened, man. Yeah. I'm sure a lot of people that's even listening right now has done some stupid shit that no one knows about and no one will ever know about.
Right.
I know that for a fact, so I try not to hold myself at court too often.
I remember talking to you. It was actually 3 years ago, 2 weeks ago, when I went to Albuquerque to talk to you. Remember that day we spent together? We walked around the park and everything.
Oh, yeah, that was a while ago. Yeah.
That was your first interview since the accident.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually tweeted it out. It was like 3 years ago. The anniversary was like a week ago. 3 years ago, I went to Albuquerque to talk to Jon. It was one of the most memorable interviews in my career, because you gave us the opportunity to talk to you first. And a lot has happened since then.
Yeah,
since that interview. Yeah. When you sit here and you say, I changed things, I feel like people will go back to that interview and other interviews that you did. Like, I don't believe him.
Right.
Why should people believe you now?
Well, this may sound terrible, but a part of me really don't care if people believe me or not.
No, I respect it. I respect it.
Yeah. I think what people don't realize is that even though I've had a very controversial career over the last several years, I've really tried my ass off to do things right. I'm aware that my kids are getting older, and their friends are having cell phones now, and my actions, they will be able to read about one day. And so I've been trying to do things the right way for a while now. I've had misfortune. I really have. And when you're me, people aren't going to give you the benefit of the doubt. First of all, because I'm good, and because I've done bad things in the past. But I had a situation where I took a male enhancement pill, which I'm sure 40% of men in America have tried at least before. I would imagine. I took a male enhancement pill, and I got fired from work and publicly humiliated, and became somebody who was labeled a cheater. No one sympathizes for me because I'm a multimillionaire, famous athlete. No one wants to sympathize for people like me, but you just gotta go with it. No one said, "Oh, that must be freaking terrible for this guy to be going through. How freaking embarrassing is this for him and his wife?" Right? But no one sees it from that perspective. So you just got to realize that it's not a poor me situation. My last situation, having what USADA said was a teaspoon. It was like taking a pinch of salt and throwing it into an Olympic-sized swimming pool, and to be fired from work for a year, to lose all your endorsements. No one feels sorry for you. People just say, "Oh, well, he did coke when he was younger, so he must be guilty." It's just like instead of trying to instead of having like this poor me campaign, I just learned to say it, and just keep getting mine, man. That's all I can do. Just keep getting mine.
Are you doing anything differently in this camp to ensure there's no problems this time?
Well, that's the scariest thing about this situation, Ariel. It's like my last camp, I hired a doctor she had all these degrees, and she was doing my nutrition and supplementation, and I had a bigger team around me in that last fight than I've ever had before. Just literally, I had a guy just to carry my duffel bag. I had people in my nutrition. I had guys for every martial arts discipline. I hired so many people to ensure that I beat Daniel Cormier, and I felt like we did everything right. And for literally, if you think about the visual of a pinch of salt being thrown into an Olympic-sized swimming pool, you can't control every factor. I mean, there's a chance that your listeners or you have possibly had something in your body at one point in your life that USADA would bust you for. The difference between me and you is USADA doesn't drug test everyday people. I mean, on Fight Week, we're not allowed to have certain sleep medications because you can pop for things that are in sleep medications. So I felt like I was doing things right leading up to the first Daniel Cormier fight, but I fell short. And all I can do is just continue to and just try to do things right, man. Just try to do things right and just be even more careful. The thing about being even more careful is you can run into a place where you're starting to become slightly paranoid. Paranoia, you don't trust people. You don't want anybody to bring you food, nobody to fix you a cup of coffee. I haven't even had coffee I've been doing interviews all day and been studios all day, and every secretary has asked me today, do I want a cup of coffee before I start my interview? I've said no to every person because I don't trust people the way I used to. So am I doing anything differently? I really feel like I've been doing things right for a long time. The last time I really fucked up was when I got in a hit and run car accident 4 years ago. Since then, I took a male enhancement pill, like people do all the time. Lost my job over it. And this last situation, I can say that I have no clue where it came from, and know that probably 60% of people won't believe me, and I got to be okay with that.
Are you happy that the return fight is against Gus, considering your history with him?
Yes, I am happy with it, because what I get to do is I get to answer multiple questions at once. How is Jon going to deal with adversity? How is he going to deal with this level of adversity? How is he going to fight off of steroids for the first time, which is the most stupid thing, right? How is Jon going to do against somebody who came pretty close to beating him, right? I love this because it takes a lot of balls to do what I'm doing, to step back out there, to put yourself back out there, after you just had something extremely devastating happen to you. You know, like to get accused of doing steroids when you know that you didn't do it, and to have everything crashed in front of your eyes, and to go through that level of depression and sadness, and then risk coming back to work and risk it all possibly happening to you again. It's like, it takes balls. It takes a lot of balls. But I'm here for it. I'm here for the challenge. No one said it should be hard. I mean, no one said it's supposed to be easy.
Right. When we spoke earlier this year, you told me that you checked into a rehab center.
Yeah, I did.
Because of everything that was going on, plus to deal with your mom's passing, right?
Yeah.
When you're there,
it was more like a trauma center. It was trauma and rehab. Yeah.
Okay. Was that a hard thing to, you have an ego, right?
Yeah.
To go in, people know who you are.
Yeah.
Did you feel like that was a blow to your ego? How were you dealing with that?
It wasn't a blow to my ego. I went to a place called the Guest House, Ocala, in Ocala, Florida. And people consider it one of the best trauma therapy centers in the country. There's other celebrities there and stuff like that. And so it wasn't a blow to my ego, because I knew that I wasn't alone with talking about sadness, talking about addiction, talking about trauma, childhood trauma and things like that, adult trauma. And it was great, man. It was exactly what I needed, man. I've had a lot of things go on throughout my life, a lot of good and a lot of bad, and I've never talked about any of it to anybody on a professional level. And it was good. I did a lot of crying, man, to be honest with you. Almost 30 days of crying.
Wow.
Yeah, crying and praying and talking about just life. And, man, I used to think psychiatrists and counselors were for the weak, and I realized that it's for everybody. I also realized that depression is for everybody. Being a guy who's a undefeated, multimillionaire, I think I'm a good-looking guy, right? I thought that I could never be the type of person that was severely sad and depressed, and this summer I truly was severely sad and depressed. So I got to learn a lot about the whole thing, about depression, about trauma, about addiction, and I feel tremendous. I feel a weight lifted off my shoulders, and I actually think it's going to be something that I do every summer.
Oh,
every summer. I think I want to spend 30 to 60 days with just regrouping.
Now, are you continuing to talk to someone, even though you're...
I was for a while.
Okay.
I was talking to a counselor for a while in Albuquerque, and then when my training camp started, I felt like it was juggling too much. I was seeing this guy 3 times a week. I felt like it was juggling way too much, so I told him that I'd pick up with him after this fight.
Okay. But
which would be great, because my goal is to win the title back, and just to reevaluate how I feel now that everything is, back flowing in the direction it's always been, making sure that I'm just handling it well.
Would it be fair to call you sober now? Are you sober?
No,
You're not sober.
No, I still drink.
Okay.
Yeah, I still
Too
drink.
much?
Smoke pot too every once in a while.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you at a good place?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I'm at a very healthy place.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know. Who knows?
Your coaches, like, do you tell your coaches about this?
My coaches know I drink. Yeah,
Okay.
dude. I'm done trying to hide being not like a crazy amount. Some weekends, mainly on the weekends. I like.
Do you want to be sober, or is that not?
It was something I was striving for, especially going to rehab this summer. I was striving for complete sobriety.
Yeah.
But it wasn't. I'm not ready for it. It's not who I was and not who I am kind of in my life and in my career. And I'm at a place where I can be honest with myself. But being in there definitely matured me a lot, talking about why people drink and things like that. And what I learned, Ariel, was a lot of times alcoholism, or even person who smokes every day, a lot of times is directly related to trauma, childhood trauma, or just trauma in general. And people, don't realize why they're doing certain things. It's not normal to drink every weekend or smoke every day. A lot of times you're masking something, and that's what I learned. So I learned that I was masking things. I learned to identify some of the things that I was masking, and just look at it honestly.
Will you stop leading up to the fight, or?
Oh yeah,
Okay.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, yeah.
How soon out?
I don't know.
Okay, we haven't gone there yet.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know, man. I like to enjoy myself, man. I like to enjoy myself.
I feel, and we just have a couple of minutes left here. This is flying by. Thank you again for the time. The greatest rivalry in UFC history is you versus Daniel Cormier. We've talked about this before. I remember before.
Is it a rivalry though?
Oh, it has to be. When you guys go back and forth. I know you're up 2-0, technically, even though California would say 1-0 contest. He acknowledges that it's 2-0 for you.
He doesn't acknowledge it though.
He does.
I feel like in some interviews he'll say like, I've always said to you guys, he beat me twice.
Yeah.
He beat me fair and square. He beat me. And then in other interviews he goes, but did he really beat me?
Okay.
Because you had something in your system.
Right.
So
okay.
you can't say that you cheated.
I understand.
So the truth of the matter is, depending on who he's interviewing with or when it's convenient to him, he can look like he's being a big man and saying, I'm mature enough to admit Jon beat me. But then you look and you turn around the next day, he's saying, but did he really beat me, Ariel?
I get what you're saying.
Which one is it? You're going to be a man and say that I beat you, or are you going to blame it on a pinch of salt being thrown into an Olympic-sized swimming pool? Really? A pinch of salt is what allowed another man to knock you out in front of your family? A pinch of salt?
My question is, he says he's retiring in March. I personally don't believe him, knowing the competitor that he is, that he will be able to walk away without fighting you another time. Dana White said recently he wants 3 more fights out of DC. I feel like it's inevitable that you two will fight again. I feel like we have to see this.
I feel like if the fight were to happen, it would be him challenging me at light heavyweight, or it would be the UFC throwing a ridiculous amount of money for us to make it happen at heavyweight. That's how it's going to happen.
But do you agree with me that it's not done?
It is done.
In your mind?
Yeah, it's done, man.
You've moved on.
Dude, you saw me on stage saying, hey, guys, why are you guys booing Daniel Cormier?
Yeah, I know.
This guy is a hell of a father. He's a hell of a teammate. I aspire to be a lot more like this man. At that very moment,
you were done.
I was done, man. I was done. He was sitting there crying on national TV. I was absolutely done.
But a lot has happened since then.
He talks a lot of trash. Would I love it for him to just man up and say, God damn it, guys, once and for all, on record, this is what happened. Jon Jones, he beat me. The first time he beat me after cocaine, right, by unanimous decision. And the second time he beat me by knockout, right? And then the haters are going to say, because you did steroids. And then my rebuttal, once again, will be a pinch of salt in an Olympic-sized swimming pool. It's fine. Just like when I first came out, I won because my arms were long or because my brothers were in the NFL and I'm just an athlete. All this shit. There's always going to be excuses, man. Nobody would never just say, hey, this kid's good. And that is what it is. Even though I don't like the guy, I may not like his personality or blah, blah, blah. But I may not blame male enhancement. I'm starting to babble on now. Let me stop.
It was just what you guys bring out the best in each other, but also the worst in a sense because it's so personal at times, and like the Instagram post back and forth, and he's posting things, you're posting things. I don't believe that he will be able to walk away, and I feel like the UFC wants to see it happen because of the money that you guys generate.
Yeah, we do good business together. Yeah, but for me, man, I don't hate him at all, man. People talk to me about Daniel Cormier constantly.
Yeah, I bet.
As if we're 1-1, but I'm 2-0 against Daniel Cormier. Like I said, once I fought him at a disadvantage and won by unanimous decision. What's people's excuse for that, right? There's no excuse for that. I'm a better fighter. The second time I beat him by knockout, and I guess I gave people an excuse for that one by having metabolites in my system. But in my heart, I know who I am. I know what I've accomplished, and got nothing to prove.
Last thing, how are things at Jackson Wink? A lot of drama.
Great.
These days with Donald Cerrone and
crazy.
What's going on?
What is great, man. Everything is good, man. Okay. Everything's good on the team, man. Everything's good on the team, man. Jackson's mixed martial arts, in my opinion, is one of the top 3 martial arts programs in the world. We have been for, 5-10 years. Always in the loop with the greatest teams in the world.
Yeah.
The relationship over there at Jackson's MMA between the coaches and fighters is very strong, very good. Cowboy Cerrone, he had his own situation, and I believe separated himself from the program and started developing his own identity, his own program, his own team, his own banner, and what we saw in this last, Cowboy and Mike Perry situation was a guy came to the team, saw things, he conquered things. He's a part of this team. He's always a legend of our team. We always represent him. But he was moving on. He was developing his own team in the same community. And I feel like the coaches need to do what's best for the future of our program. That's support young fighters that are coming here with big dreams to do what they got to do and to take care of their family. Same way We have other 205-pounders on our team that are in the UFC that I support and that I help and that could possibly challenge me for the title one day. It's part of business. It's part of what it is. The same way that I came into the sport and fought Rashad Evans. It's just what happened. There's a lot of details in the fight and the situation that a lot of people don't realize, and they're so quick to say, "Oh, well, these guys are not loyal. They're leaving their old heads for these new guys." What type of loyalty is that? Who would want to be on that type of team? And people don't realize that when I fought Rashad Evans, he had fought, I think, about 3 times outside of the Jackson's camp by the time we actually fought each other, leading up to our fight. And then in Cowboy Cerrone's situation, Coach Mike Wigglejohn coaching against Cowboy Cerrone and choosing to work with Mike Perry, Mike Wigglejohn pays for a gigantic building right downtown Albuquerque. I don't even know what the rent is to cover the bill for us to have that building. He has to pay that bill. So you can't kick out young fighters for guys who are almost competitors at this point. He has a huge gym right in the same community as us. You can't go doing that. You gotta protect the longevity and the future of the team. If you would have kicked me out of Jackson's MMA while Rashad was already training at Boca Raton, you would never have me on the team. That's provided for my team for years now. So you can't just be throwing away young blood. You never know who some people are going to grow up to be, and what they're going to bring to this program. So I support Coach Wigglejohn for being with Mike Perry 100%. And everything's good with the team.
Good.
Everything's great.
Welcome back, Jon.
Hey, man.
What a way to end the year for the UFC. December 29th, UFC 232, T-Mobile Arena. Jon Jones versus Alexander Gustafsson, rematch of the greatest fight in UFC history, UFC 165, 5 years ago in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. Huge pleasure, huge honor to have you in studio. If you don't mind, we're doing something for charity here, having all our in-studio guests sign this banner before they leave. Do you mind?
What's the charity?
Well, I decided, okay, there's 2 that we're working on right now, but I think, can I say this, Jake? Is it okay? Okay, the potential. Someone throw this out on Twitter, and I would like to give the proceeds, whenever we give this away, I'd like to give it to Ray Borg's family.
Oh, wow.
His son.
Wow, that's so beautiful. I was going to make a joke and tell you that I wasn't signing it because I'm a bad person.
Oh, okay.
And bad people don't do things for charity.
No.
But Ray Borg, I'm not even going to joke, man. He's a beautiful kid, and his baby's been having a lot of complications, and absolutely will sign this. I actually reached out to Ray recently and asked him if there's more I can do. He's a really great dude, man. He's a great teammate, and I feel bad for what's happening with his baby.
Yeah, he's been through a lot. So we've been having as you see, there's a lot up there. Someone on Twitter said, you should give it to Ray Borg. I said,
that
you know what?
Dope. And I know he has a GoFundMe account.
Yeah.
So what we
Either
should do. Yeah, I want to throw something on my Twitter, so we'll give you guys the opportunity to go find his GoFundMe account too, because I know his baby's been having some serious complications, and man, we all have kids, and you don't want to wish that on nobody, man.
Cool. Thank you, Jon. I appreciate
no
it.
doubt.
Best of luck to you on December 29th.
Thanks, Ariel.
I appreciate you coming. So you can go. We're still live here, so you can sign it. Yeah,
sign it right
we
now?
don't take breaks here, Jon. We go
You guys
4
see
hours.
My sweat pits right there.
You look great, man. You didn't have to say anything. No one was going to acknowledge it.
Well, I can see it. I can feel it, Ariel.
What is it hot under the lights here, Jon?
No, man. It was that first take interview. I've been sweaty ever since.
Was this one better?
Ariel, because it's you? Absolutely.